Welcome back, I'm Rachel and in this video I'm going to go over the structure of the nasal bone. The nasal bones are located in the upper middle area of the face. They meet together at the midline of the face to form the bridge of the nose. If we take a closer look at the frontal view of the skull, we can see highlighted in red the nasal bones. If we take an even closer look but of the lateral view of the maxilla area of the skull, we can see highlighted in red the right nasal bone. Now we're going to look at the different landmarks and features of the nasal bone. Here we have the lateral view and the medial view of the right nasal bone. This bone consists of two surfaces. The first of these surfaces is the external surface, also known as the outer surface. This surface is concavo-convex in shape along the length of the bone and convex in shape transversely. A small foramen is located in the center of the surface, known as the nasal foramen. The second surface is the internal surface, also known as the inner surface. This surface is concave in shape transversely. A groove runs longitudinally across this surface for the anterior ethmoidal nerve. This bone also has four borders. The first of these borders is the superior border. This border forms the border between this bone and the nasal part of the frontal bone. The second border is the inferior border. This border forms the border between this bone and the lateral nasal cartilage. The third border is the lateral border. This border forms the border between this bone and the frontal process of the maxilla bone. The fourth and final border is the medial border. This border forms the border between this bone and the opposite nasal bone. This surface also projects posteriorly, forming a crest. Here the border forms the border with the spine of the frontal bone, the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, and the nasal septal cartilage. Now we're going to take a closer look at the bones the nasal bone articulates with. This bone articulates with four other bones. The first of these articulations is with the opposite nasal bone. The medial border of the nasal bone articulates with the medial border of the opposite nasal bone. The second articulation is with the frontal bone. The superior border of the nasal bone articulates with the nasal part of the frontal bone. In addition, the superior portions of the crest of the medial border of the nasal bone articulates with the spine of the frontal bone. The third articulation is with the ethmoid bone. The inferior part of the crest of the medial border of the nasal bone articulates with the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. The fourth and final articulation is with the maxilla bone. The lateral border of the nasal bone articulates with the frontal process of the maxilla bone. What about the muscles that attach to this bone? Two muscles attach to this bone. The procerus muscle originates from the lower part of the external surface of this bone. The transverse part of the nasalis muscle inserts onto the medial side of the external surface of this bone and becomes continuous with the muscle on the opposite side of the nose. And that concludes this video on the structure of the nasal bone. I hope you found it helpful.
Thank you for watching. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe and check out more of my videos.